Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. In this video, I want to show you my honest review, and I hope I will be able to highlight all the pros and cons of this product. So let's begin.
Get out! Get out now, you strange woman! Sarah's gut froze as her husband, the love of her life, the one she's been married with for the past 42 years, turned his gun at her and threatened to blow her brains out. Never had she imagined he would do something like this. Never had she thought sudden memory lapse could come along with a monstrous disease such as tinnitus. But the warning signs were always there. They just failed to see them. A headache now and then, worsening noise at night before going to bed, lessened hearing volume in his left ear with no apparent reason. Forgetting his way to the local supermarket. Who would have thought they're all connected? But now, it was already too late. Now Nick had to face his destiny, his worst nightmare, and he wasn't even capable of understanding the terrible thing he was about to do. "Make it stop! Please! Make the insane noise stop!" Nick begged desperately before collapsing on the living room floor, while his wife, myself, and his two beloved grandchildren stared at him in horror. It was the most dramatic experience of our entire lives, and up to this day, I'm thankful my brother didn't do something he would have regretted for the rest of his days. But I have to share this story with you today. Over the past 24 months, more than a dozen studies, including one published in the Harvard Medical School Journal, have shown that people over 40 who suffer from tinnitus and hearing loss are now at higher risk of developing life-threatening brain disease more than ever before in the past 50 years. So I'm afraid at this point, it's not a question of if, but a question of when. In the next 5 minutes, I'll show you the real location where tinnitus and hearing loss actually start. Hint, it's not your brain or ears. The one early memory loss sign that you should never ignore if you suffer from tinnitus or hearing loss that can shorten your life by up to 10 years. And the incredible scientific breakthrough that makes it possible to stop ear ringing, restore your hearing to full volume, regain your mental clarity, and protect your brain from early onset memory disease. The same breakthrough that put me on Big Pharma's hit list a little over a year ago, even though it has saved the lives of over 78,000 brave men and women. Just take a look at what some of them are saying. People like Robert Harris from Austin, Texas, who says, "Oh my God, it stopped. The noise in my head stopped. It's incredible how good this feels. 6 years I had to live with this terrible disease. I was as good as deaf in my right ear, anxious and angry all the time. Then the anxiety, panic attacks, and memory lapses started to happen, and they freaked me out. I just wouldn't understand why this happens to me. But it's all over now. The wrecking noise in my head has stopped. It's incredible how good silence feels. My ears are back to fully functioning, and I feel my brain is working like in my young years again. This is the only thing that worked for me out of everything else I've tried, and I've tried so many things, it's unimaginable. Thanks so much, Mark." Well, thank you as well, Robert, and let me tell you, it's because success stories like yours that drive us forward. Hi, my name is Mark Whittle, and this is the video that Big Pharma would stop at nothing to prevent you from seeing. If you're a man or a woman past your prime years and have been suffering from tinnitus or hearing loss for a month, a year, or ever since you were a kid, then know this. The tinnitus, hearing, and memory loss market are worth $22 billion, a number that is expected to grow by 50% over the next decade. Tinnitus alone affects nearly 50 million people in the US and more than 600 million worldwide. That's almost 10% of the total population of this planet. We're facing a rising epidemic, and yet Big Pharma leaves its victims with little to no support and even fewer options. But one thing is for sure, they love your money, and they sure know that pain, misery, and suffering brings them way more profits than your good health and well-being. Doctors all around the world are prescribing expensive pills and hearing aids like they're giving out lottery tickets. Billions of dollars spent every year by these greedy pharma corporations to promote their shady practices, yet not a single dime on finding a solution for these debilitating diseases. 2 years ago, I saw this with my own eyes when my brother was brought to the emergency room after almost shooting his wife of 42 years to death because of his sudden memory lapse caused by tinnitus. My own brother, Professor Kulsoon, as his students used to call him. He was one of the sharpest, most brilliant minds I've ever seen in my life. The guy could recite 1,000 decimals of pi on a Sunday afternoon while watching his favorite TV show. My hero. He raised 2 kids through law school and took care of his sick wife when she couldn't work anymore. Now a shadow of a man, trapped on the hospital bed with the nurse coming in every few hours to check if he's still breathing. From time to time, he would wake up, keep asking who's the strange woman sitting next to his bed, and pass out again. His wife was devastated. He looked at her as she was a complete stranger after 42 years of marriage. The doctors kept asking us if he was on any special medications because his brain seemed overcharged and memory on the brink of collapse. But the truth is, we had no idea. The only things he was taking were some anti-anxiety meds to cope with his tinnitus and recent hearing loss. We knew the ringing in his ears had gotten worse lately, and his left ear was barely functioning. But besides that, we were completely clueless. Truth is, I never in a million years imagined these two terrible medical issues were actually hiding something much, much worse. It's only normal for patients with tinnitus and hearing loss to suffer from anxiety and memory lapses from time to time, the doctor told me. Tinnitus is not a condition, but a symptom of something much worse happening inside your brain. It's a sign that your brain is failing to do its job properly, and when it's linked to hearing loss, then things start going downhill. Your memory starts collapsing, day by day. Unfortunately, modern medicine hasn't quite figured out what exactly damages your brain so badly that it causes both ringing in the ears and loss of hearing, the doctor concluded. Hasn't quite figured out? I asked the doctor. That was not the answer I was expecting from the billionaire pharma boys. Barely conscious, and with his memory fading away by the minute, they had my brother undergo dozens of tests and multiple CT scans. They checked his head, ears. They even had him give urine samples. One of the doctors even suggested he should do a colonoscopy to check for a tumor, but nothing made sense to any of them. They just couldn't understand why his memory was failing, why every single test came out perfect, even for a man at his age. Yet the only two symptoms that they had to go with for explaining his memory loss were tinnitus and hearing loss. Not much to work with. Little did the doctors know that something was happening inside my brother's head, something that turned his brain into a ticking time bomb. But as I found out from Sarah, his wife, this wasn't his first accident. My brother made her swear she wouldn't tell anyone. If people were to find out, he might lose his job, and they wouldn't be able to pay off the second mortgage he took out on their home to put their kids through law school. And friend, what she had to say struck me to my very core. My brother's symptoms were something which he tried to keep hidden from all of us, even though his life was a nightmare from hell. This story may sound familiar to you. It turns out his struggles with tinnitus started a few years back. Then hearing loss came, and he didn't pay attention at first. He thought it would just go away, but soon his left ear was barely functioning. Every doctor they saw told them it was only normal that these things happen, and there's nothing more they can do about it. So my brother just tried to accept his fate, while his anger and anxiety grew on him and tore him apart on the inside. He was always a brave man, always used to being at the top of the chain, always looking after his family, being their hero. I mean, how could something like this happen to someone like him? One morning, Sarah sent him to pick up groceries. He returned 4 hours later empty-handed, excusing himself as he could not find his way to the supermarket, the same store he had shopped in for the past 6 years, ever since it opened. Things happened like this for a while, and my brother made her swear she'll keep this a secret, as he was too embarrassed to tell anyone. He was always angry, furious, and anxious because he couldn't sleep more than 3 hours straight, every night, due to the terrible noise in his head. Then the horrible moment came that Sunday afternoon when my brother's memory simply collapsed, and he threatened to shoot down his own wife because he couldn't remember who she was. That was it. For Nick, that was his breaking point. For many others, it might have meant depression or anxiety. But for Nick, it meant the worst of the worst. What if it happens again? I asked the doctor as he was writing his prescription. Something he seemed very eager to do, by the way. Unfortunately, there is nothing more we can do. I suggest you check your brother to a mental hospital. It would be better for all of you, the doctor replied. Mental hospital? That's all these supposed doctors could say after all their years of study. As I watched my brother lying half-conscious in that hospital bed, I realized I couldn't leave him at the hands of an industry that's filled with greed, corruption, and incompetence. I decided I'd do everything in my power to save him, no matter what I'd have to do. So I began researching day and night, like a maniac. I read every major medical journal and every publication related to tinnitus, hearing loss, and the brain, going back at least 5 years. I contacted every doctor, health expert, and even some of my brother's fellow colleagues to pick their brains. Maybe one of them could provide me with the solution. Truth is, something kept tormenting me. If tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory loss are all linked together, then what exactly causes them when everything seems fine in the brain? Now, what I discovered next had me doing mental flips. The first breakthrough study came from researchers at Newcastle University. These brilliant scientists literally stopped listening to what the entire medical world has said about tinnitus, hearing loss, and dementia, and approached the problem in a whole different way. Until now, almost every major study that came out claimed that tinnitus and hearing loss leads to memory loss. They asked themselves, what if in fact there could be something else that actually triggers these two diseases? And in consequence of that, your memory fails. What if they're all connected by one terrible element that goes even deeper than your brain? Some people get tinnitus, some get hearing loss, some get both, and some unlucky fellows like my brother get their brains torn apart. It just didn't make sense. It was only logical there had to be something that connects these three terrible conditions. After analyzing the data of both human and animal clinical studies and cross-referencing with lab reports, they concluded that there was one thing that all these three had in common: a broken pathway inside the brain's neuron cells. Something was causing the brain to literally rot from the inside, something that was damaging both the nerve cells responsible for memory and the auditory cortex responsible for hearing. In response, this causes the brain to send desperate help signals that you hear as terrible noise in your head. Unfortunately, their brilliant work stopped there, and I still couldn't figure out what exactly was crushing my brother's brain and ears, until I came across this one study from the University of Manchester, and my entire life changed. These genius scientists followed up on their existing research and went even deeper into the problem. When the entire scientific world was trying to figure out what was happening in the brain and why nerve cells were malfunctioning to cause tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory disease, these ingenious scientists have done things differently. Instead of looking inside the brain, they looked inside the nearest locations and imagined the head as a functional organism. So they tried to see if there was actually someplace else where this all starts. They asked themselves, what if this has something to do with the immune system? So instead of going through countless CT scans, they analyzed blood and saliva samples from patients, and what they found was game-changing. Both blood and saliva samples proved the existence of a certain bacteria lying dormant inside the mouth. Now here's where it gets tricky. These bacteria actually seem harmless because they appear to have no activity at all. That's why it was ignored by scientists. But while those bacteria are sitting there, appearing to do nothing, they're releasing a toxin that goes directly into the brain. A toxin originating in the mouth that's capable of trespassing your brain's protective shield, called the blood-brain barrier, and which wreaks havoc on your nervous system once inside the brain. This toxin is so dangerous, it feeds on your synapses, causes your brain to vibrate, therefore giving you that hellish noise in your ears. It then damages your auditory cortex, the one responsible for hearing, and it simply eats away your memories. This was mind-blowing. The one place any of the doctors and researchers forgot to check: the mouth. As I sat there reading the report for the second time, I realized that I'm now closer than ever to saving my brother. Now, I always believed that things happen for a reason, because the call I received on late Friday afternoon completely changed me and saved my brother's life and the lives of over 78,000 brave men and women. The call came from an old friend of mine, Chris, or Dr. Stevens, as his patients call him. He had seen the messages I posted on medical forums, asking for help. I first met Chris when I was in college. He was deeply passionate about finding alternative remedies for sickness in nature. He believed the secret to all disease is already provided by Mother Earth. You just have to look for it. He was also very against the big pharma companies, having worked for one for many years. He's seen it with his own eyes, the deep, dark truth about this giant spiderweb they set up. He always said they are hiding the real solutions, just because their drugs are making them insane profits. Well, Chris, I believe we all know that. He was now an independent researcher working at his own lab, studying the effects of plants on the body, especially focused on chronic brain disease. He was an extremely interesting person and talented guy. I was deeply curious to find out what he had to say about my brother, and let me tell you, even though I know it's 100% science-backed, just thinking about his story, it sends shivers down my spine. Now pay attention, because these things do happen in America. Chris invited me to his cabin in a remote village near the city, which at first sounded pretty weird, but I quickly understood why. As I arrived, Chris was expecting me at the gate. "Hold this," Chris said, handing me a strange-looking old folder. "Give me your phone, Mark, please," he added. "It's for your own protection, Mark. Just make sure they don't listen to what I have to say." Then Chris started telling me about the days he worked for Big Pharma. He said one day, a well-dressed group of men in suits came to their office and literally threw the contents of 3 large briefcases on the conference room table, making an insane pile of cash, all of which was off the books, as they say. It was a private military company, and they had money to spend. But more importantly, they were dealing with a big issue and needed urgent help with it. Their soldiers, most of them who fought in war zones, would often get memory lapses, tinnitus, and lose their hearing for no apparent reason. At first, they thought it was due to high-stress conditions. It was common amongst their soldiers to get injured in battle and as a result, suffer from tinnitus, hearing loss, or even PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. But then some of them would get sick at home, even before they would get on the battlefield, and nobody could understand why. They realized they needed outside help, or soon their cash machine would run out of workers. So they hired Chris and his team to figure out what the problem was. When I showed Chris my findings, how I was on the same route to find the culprit for tinnitus, hearing loss, and brain disease, everything that matched his story, he was not surprised a bit. "As I've already shared with you, we discovered the same thing a while ago," Chris said. "In fact, not well-publicized research data we analyzed, which came from private medical journals we had access to, as well as extremely private clinical trials, showed that this brain-damaging toxin is actually 400% more common here in our country than any other country in the world. So you can imagine what massive destruction of brain power lies ahead through the upcoming years," Chris added. "It was our job to figure out the solution. It was important enough to these private military execs that they paid us a lot of money, and that made it important for my bosses too, since it came with a very big paycheck. And even though I tried to warn them for several years, and even tell them about the rising dementia epidemic, my employers simply shrugged their shoulders and said finding a fix for this simply doesn't fit their profit margins. But when the right money came, they jumped on fixing it like a pack of hungry wolves. Wars are cash machines, Mark. And you can't make cash if the machine is broken," Chris concluded. But as he confessed to me, every time he saw another case of tinnitus, hearing loss, dementia, or any brain disorder that he just wasn't allowed to help, it made him feel extremely guilty. He knew right from the beginning that what they had discovered wasn't meant for the ordinary guy. It was always supposed to be kept in the dark, to be used at their own discretion by whoever mercenary or elite government paid the most, for as long as the cash was coming in. "I'll help you save your brother," Chris said to me confidently. "You see, we didn't just discover the culprit for tinnitus, hearing loss, brain and memory disease, but we also discovered how to fight it and stop it. And the only reason why it hasn't reached the shelves is because they just couldn't justify a high price tag since there are no patentable chemicals involved. It's all natural. They're lying, and they've been lying for years. Brain problems are not only treatable, but they are preventable, and I've got the proof for it right here," Chris concluded. Things went quiet for a moment. Then Chris handed me the classified files, risking his own life and freedom for it. Up to this day, me and my family will be forever grateful for what this man has done for us and for tens of thousands of others. In the thick folder, there was the exact formula, with all the details and the way this works on the brain to stop tinnitus, completely restore hearing, and rejuvenate the nerve cells, brain, and memory. And the confessions of hundreds of soldiers and war generals that have used this program successfully. 341 pages of incredible, comprehensive research that could save millions, yet it was left to rot in the bottom drawer of a big pharma lab just because no one else dared to pay the insane money they requested for it. My eyes filled with tears of joy. It was for the first time in weeks when there was finally hope for my brother. I took on a second mortgage and sold an old property of mine to have the money we needed. Chris agreed to help me out even further. So we bought the ingredients we needed, mixed them in the proper order, and developed the first batch of supplements that would save Nick. Then I took my brother out of that death trap of a hospital and decided to treat him myself at my own house under my close supervision. Exhausted, humiliated, and with his mind deteriorating by the day, my brother started religiously following the plan and taking the blend every single day. After a few days, I must say, I was worried that it might not work. His wife was prepared to take him to the hospital again, but Chris and I insisted that he keeps on going with the plan. A few more days followed before I could see my brother start to wake up smiling, like he was finally getting a good night's sleep. When I asked him, he said that surprisingly, tinnitus doesn't bother him that much, in his own words, before bed. In fact, soon after, every time I would ask him, "Nick, how's it ringing?" a joke we had to try and make him feel better, he would say, "Less and less, brother." Plus, he started telling me how he could now hear better with his left ear. I would sneak behind him once in a while and whisper things to his left ear just to see if he was faking it. He heard me every single time. It was amazing. Every day I would see him more excited. He started doing complicated math puzzles again. He was helping out students with their homework. One day, he managed to recite almost 500 decimals of pi. His sharp genius memory was coming back on him. Then, the day came. One Sunday morning, it was like a miracle, exactly 3 months to the day from the terrible happening. My brother woke up and started yelling my name. "Mark, you're not going to believe this! The ringing stopped! The ringing stopped!" "Shh, listen to that. Do you hear that?" The room went silent for a few seconds, and then my brother whispered, "It's quiet, Mark. It's finally quiet. I now remember what silence feels like." The moment my brother rushed to hug me, thanking me for saving him for this nightmare, was something I cannot express in words. We had done it. My brother was finally tinnitus-free, and his hearing and mind were back to normal. When we got the doctor to check his brain and ears, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He made my brother retake the tests, thinking the medicine was broken somehow. But the only thing my brother had broken was his trust in their corrupt system that left him half dead and almost bankrupt on that hospital bed. My brother, the man who would compete head-to-head with any MIT brain genius kid, was now back. His tinnitus had stopped, his hearing was better than ever before, and his memory was sharp as a tack. It was mind-blowing, and in the very best sense of the word. Now let me tell you why this is the most efficient ears and brain-mending formula ever created. The nutrients it contains are so incredibly powerful, they not only clear the noise inside your head, but also restore your hearing, nourish your brain, and protect you from memory and brain disease. 14 different independent labs from 4 countries have tested this program on over 8,400 brave volunteers to make sure it works for anyone, no matter their age, gender, or overall health. Lab tests have shown us that in order for this program to be efficient, all the ingredients have to be mixed in very exact quantities, following an exact formula. Here's how this works. Step 1. The powerful nutrient blend destroys the brain-eating toxin. Remember, the root cause of your tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory problems is due to a brain-eating toxin that damages your nerve cells and causes that hellish noise, as well as damages your auditory system and mind. Inside the classified project files, we've seen that the only way to fix this is to add psyllium husk, bentonite clay, and glucomannan root. Psyllium husk destroys the dangerous synapse-damaging toxin right from the source before it enters your brain. This amazing plant has the power to destroy even the most resistant toxins and help your body regain its natural resistance against bad bacteria. Psyllium expands due to water in the colon and forms a gelatinous substance. Then the gel-like substance pushes out the toxins and waste in the body. It acts like a natural antibacterial and antitoxin weapon. Bentonite clay has the power to literally absorb bad bacteria and toxins and any unwanted toxins. A recent study has shown that people who took bentonite clay for a few weeks on a daily basis were able to significantly reduce the toxins inside their bodies. This powerful plant also contains natural minerals such as calcium, magnesium, and iron, which strengthen your immune system. Then there's glucomannan root, and from what we've seen in the project files, this incredible ingredient plays a crucial role in helping you stop tinnitus and repair your mind and hearing. Then, the last brain superfood they added was black walnut. Black walnuts are rich in something called polyphenols. Polyphenols are micronutrients that are able to neutralize harmful free radicals. They are considered critical brain foods because of their ability to counteract oxidative stress and inflammation, 2 important reasons for cognitive decline. Step 2. The noise in your ears vanishes and your hearing goes back to full volume. Finally, once the brain-eating toxin is eliminated from your system, your synapses start to heal and regain their strength, as well as your neuronal networks rejuvenate. This is all due to these 3 super ingredients: aloe vera, apple pectin, and a very special lactobacillus acidophilus, which strengthens your gut and immune system so that your auditory cortex can start repairing itself. It's been already proven in multiple studies, including in a recent study published in Harvard Medical School, that the hair cells, the ones responsible for hearing, are actually able to regrow, so it is possible for you to get your hearing back. With this amazing combination of superfoods, your tinnitus will be gone, your hearing back, and your mind as in your prime years. Step 3. Your mind and brain become sharper and rejuvenated. This is where good things start to happen. Oat bran and apple pectin act like steroids for your brain and memory. Studies have shown that as we age, our brain shrinks and it changes on a molecular level. But these 2 ingredients supercharge your brain, strengthen your nerve cells, and give your mind clarity and focus. Your memory becomes sharper, better, clearer. Your brain is now 10 years younger since tinnitus is out of your system and your hearing is back to full volume again. Step 4. You shield yourself against reoccurrences of tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory disease. Now, the purpose of this formula is not just to get you free from tinnitus, restore your hearing, and rejuvenate your brain, but also keep it like this on a long-term basis. To achieve this, they selected 2 brain superfoods. First, they added flax seeds, which has been found in numerous studies to be the single most neuroprotective food. One study has shown this plant is so powerful it can improve brain function even in people that already suffer from brain and neural disease. Flax seeds are extremely rich in omega-3, which has been shown to have an incredible healthy effect on the human brain. Omega-3 have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects as well, which means they might promote healthier brain cells and less deterioration of the brain. The second ingredient is psyllium husk. Now, Chris's team quickly realized the importance of this powerful ingredient, combined in the right quantity, all together with flax seeds and the third one, which I'll share in just a moment. You see, psyllium is also a very powerful prebiotic. Prebiotics act as support for probiotics, the healthy bacteria that live in the human gut environment, or microbiome. Probiotics play an integral role, not only in the health of the digestive system, but in the health of the entire human body. For instance, gut bacteria help regulate complex processes like the production of neurotransmitters, the messengers that carry signals to and from the brain. So if you want a healthy brain for many years to come, you have to attack the problem on all levels and from the inside out. With this exact supernutrient combination, your brain and memory stay healthy and protected for many, many years to come. Step 5. Your entire health and well-being start to improve. In just a few weeks, you'll be tinnitus-free. Your hearing will be sharp, your mind will be quiet, peaceful, and you'll be protected against deadly brain disorders. And because this blend is so powerful, every single cell of your body will start to transform and rejuvenate. Flax seeds have been known to be mood-lifting and fight depression. One study also found that flax seeds significantly decreased chronic stress levels. Black walnuts also help you reduce the risk of heart disease and type 2 diabetes. They also reduce cholesterol, lower blood sugar, and help with weight loss. Glucomannan root also helps lower cholesterol and blood sugar levels, so it also helps with type 2 diabetes. Not only that, it keeps your skin healthy and rejuvenated. Bentonite clay has been used for centuries and has amazing capabilities to clean and protect your skin. It's also a powerful anti-inflammatory remedy, and recent research also says it can remove pesticides and treat metal poisoning. All these 10 ingredients are perfectly combined in the right quantities to destroy tinnitus, restore your hearing, help you regain your mental health, shield you from mental disease, and also rejuvenate your entire body and well-being. Chris warned me not to share this. And we saw it with our own eyes when Big Pharma came right at us with their full stack of lawyers, threatening to shut down this website. The truth is, if you have found this page still up and running, it's truly a miracle. We have fought as hard as we could, and we will continue to do so because every man and woman out there deserves a second chance. A life chance that doesn't come with a Big Pharma receipt stamped on it. Plus, I don't want another person to feel the misery and shame I felt as I watched my brother tied to the hospital bed, struggling to remember his wife's name. Can you imagine how that feels? It takes away your dignity, your pride, everything that ever made you a person. How could I live with myself, knowing that right now there are millions of men whose lives are ruined because of this debilitating disease? I swore I'd do anything I can to help as many as possible. So Chris and I put everything we had in this anti-tinnitus and hearing loss rejuvenation formula. We called it RingHush, a 100% natural blend that goes directly to the root cause of your tinnitus and hearing loss. A toxin capable of reaching your brain and eating your synapses, which in turn gives you that terrible noise in your ears and damages your hearing and mind. We only source the purest, highest quality ingredients. The perfect combination of 10 carefully mixed plant extracts into an easy-to-swallow capsule to take once a day. The formula is carefully produced in our FDA-approved facility using the latest technology and equipment. Every capsule of RingHush is non-GMO and safe. This protocol is very easy to follow and is also diabetic-friendly. It does not require any restrictive diets, and it does not interfere with other supplements you might be taking. After seeing the results of over 78,000 people from all over the world, we can now say that this formula is more powerful than anything else in the world. Because it doesn't just eliminate that ringing in your ears, but also restores your hearing, strengthens your brain cells, and helps you shield yourself against memory-related diseases. It also supports a healthy heart, improves your memory and focus, boosts your energy levels, and so much more. So you'll also be improving your overall health at the same time. By now, a lot of folks are wondering how they can get their hands on RingHush and for how long you should take it to get the best results. Now here's the thing. Given the current conditions and economic climate, it's extremely difficult to source all these high-quality ingredients in this exacting restorative mix. This makes our ability to keep high stocks on hand almost impossible. And then there's all the people who've used RingHush and now enjoy a tinnitus-free life and sharp hearing. Plus they are protected against future brain and memory problems. They are all coming back for more. For themselves, for their families, and for their best friends, they want to make sure we don't run out of RingHush, leaving them out. This makes our stock run out in days every time a new shipment arrives. Plus, we're only able to produce RingHush in small quantities since finding high-quality ingredients is extremely hard. This is the only way to make sure we keep the formula 100% effective. Since you're here, your package is reserved. But if you leave this page, I cannot guarantee supply when you come back. As for the second question on how you should use RingHush, you should also note this is extremely simple. All it takes is 10 seconds per day of your time and a big glass of water to take 2 capsules each day for at least 30 days. Now, a lot of people ask us this, and it's important to mention. That ringing in your ears or inability to hear at full volume, even as life-racking as this sounds, are the least of your worries if this thing worsens. And really, you can't let this happen. Even after RingHush has stopped tinnitus, gives you back your hearing, your life, and peace of mind back, you still have to protect yourself against brain and memory disease, which can strike at any time if you are not prepared. That's why, based on over 8,000 volunteers that have sent us their lab and test results, we recommend that you take at least 3 bottles of RingHush. Although, to be 100% safe, I personally recommend the 6-bottle package. Right now, millions of people from all over the globe have fallen victims to sleepless nights, anxiety, depression, public shaming, and even suicidal thoughts. All this because of having to live with this hellish toxin inside their heads that is ruining every single aspect of their lives. Some of the lucky ones, even those whose conditions were from moderate to severe, already discovered this website and got their life back. Here are some of their stories. Gregory T., 51, Texas, says, "My life was perfectly happy and quiet until tinnitus came along. That terrible noise tormented me for 6 years. Then my hearing started deteriorating and I lost my sense of living. My friends would just avoid me because I was angry and anxious all the time and constantly asked them to repeat themselves. My family wanted to help me, but were as powerless as every doctor I've been to. Then I saw your website. I admit I was extremely skeptical at first. I mean, I've been looking for a way out of this disease for years, and now you're telling me you found it? Seriously? But my wife convinced me I should give it a try after she looked over your research and saw it's accurate. Now I have 3 words for you. No more tinnitus. I'm free at last. No more hushing, no more ringing, no more no more pain, anxiety, and panic attacks. My hearing is back, and I can feel my brain working like I've never felt it before, like it did when I was in college. Mark, you're incredible. Thank you so much." Samantha C., 56, California says, "I would have given anything for the magic pill that would stop this, but I didn't have to because I found this website. I'm telling you, Mark, this is truly a miracle. I can't remember a time since my mind has been so quiet, my entire body so calm, and my overall health so good. I can focus better, my memory is sharper than ever. It's like I gained superpowers, and it's only the 2nd month since I've started taking these pills. I'm sending this to all my friends. Everyone deserves to know, and not just the ones that suffer from tinnitus. Because this pill does so much more for your brain. These real-life stories are just a small part of the massive emails, texts, and calls we receive every day. And they all prove one thing, that RingHush works, and it works for everyone. And by the way, it's important for you to know that RingHush is only found on this website for as long as the supply lasts. The reason I'm telling you this is because I just recently received an invitation letter from one of the top big pharma companies to visit one of their fancy offices where they handed me a big check demanding that I sell them this formula. When I blatantly refused, they furiously said they'll have no other choice but to issue a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against my small company. Now, don't kid yourself, these things are happening all across America. It's a fact. And I'm fighting as hard as I can to keep this website alive so that honest men and women like you can have the chance to regain their life and freedom back. That's why I really don't want you to wait until it's too late. Especially since RingHush is your only real solution to escape the tinnitus and hearing loss nightmare and shield your brain and memory against disease. No more having to pay thousands of dollars for alternative therapies, doctors, behavioral therapies, herbal remedies, acupuncture, Ayurvedic medicine, and whatnot. Just imagine how good it will be when you finally get that good night's sleep, a silent, peaceful sleep, without having to hear that monster inside your head. And when you wake up, you'll be able to hear the world in a clear, beautiful sound, and even hear your spouse singing in the kitchen as they make you breakfast. Imagine that feeling of power and confidence as you sit there in quiet on a sunny summer day, and there's nothing else in the world but you and nature. Imagine getting your life back. Imagine being able to hear perfectly, even in the noisiest places, even when people whisper behind your back. Imagine knowing that your brain and all your precious memories are perfectly secure and protected from any disease that has struck so many innocent lives. And all it takes is just 2 powerful healing capsules of RingHush per day to achieve all this. Now tell me, how much would this be worth to you? Would it be worth $179? Because that's how much it would cost to get each ingredient from this formula, so when you choose RingHush, it already saves you a small fortune. Not to mention that you don't pay thousands of dollars on useless therapies that ultimately fail you one by one. Plus, you are protected from early onset brain and memory disease, which, to be honest, is the most important benefit of all. You don't risk being a burden to your family, all your precious memories thrown away into abyss because of something you could have prevented in the first place. Truth be told, modern medicine is completely powerless over this disease, and unless you take the matter into your own hands, you could end up just another statistic. And I really do not want that for you, just like I never want this for my brother. Now, knowing all this, $179 seems like a fair price for something that can give you back your dignity, and to be honest, your sanity. It's not even close to how much you'd spend on those endless visits to your doctor, anxiety meds that give you even more anxiety, useless sound therapies, crazy hearing aids, and whatnot. And it's just a fraction of what you'd pay if you would get each ingredient on its own. Yet RingHush, unlike any other product in the world, is the real anti-tinnitus and hearing and brain rejuvenation formula. Then, there's the other thing. Given the difficult conditions we live in these days, it's very hard for us to know when our next shipment will arrive once we run out of stock. You see, we only work with FDA-approved and GMP, good manufacturing practices, certified producers, which makes our mission to find high-quality ingredients practically impossible. Each ingredient was carefully tested and clinically proven to 100% protect and heal your brain and ears. But then again, this isn't about the money for me. It truly isn't. I never want anyone to go through the things my brother has been through. Those horrible moments as he was lying half unconscious on the hospital bed, not remembering the woman who he's been with for the past 42 years. That's why today, on this website only, you can get your sanity back and regain your life for just $69 per bottle and not a penny more. Of course, we want to help you in any way possible. After all the horribly painful moments my brother suffered through, it made me realize that no one is ever safe from this. No matter your genes, how healthy you think you are now, or your lifestyle, everyone can fall victim to this atrocious disease, so in all fairness, you have every right to be worried for yourself, your family, and loved ones. Your best chance is to grab this as fast as possible, because your other option is to let yourself fall victim to Big Pharma again and again. And I really don't want that for you. That's why I managed to talk to our supplier, and even in these harsh conditions, they managed to give us a special price for the 6-bottle package. You can get the 6-bottle package for just $49 when you place your order today and only via this website. That's just $1.63 per day, less than a coffee to get your life back. Just a fair warning, I'm not sure how long I can keep the special discount and free shipping. Remember, due to the incredible situation we live in these days, it takes more than 3 months to restock once we run out of RingHush. Okay, now you're probably thinking how to get started. Select the 6-bottle package or one of the other packages, hit the button below, and secure your order now. You'll see an encrypted checkout page for you to fill your order info, which will take less than a minute. Then, in 3 to 7 days, your package will safely and discreetly arrive at your door in a sealed package. Nobody but you will know what it contains. This is the most important investment you'll ever make for your health, your peace of mind, and well-being. So go ahead and order RingHush now while we still have it in stock. It's absolutely safe since you're 100% protected by our ironclad 60-day money-back guarantee. In less than a few weeks from now, you'll get your peace of mind and life back. No more ear ringing, no more sleepless nights, No more anxiety and being angry all the time or being shunned away by your family and friends because of this life-destroying disease. Your ears will be back to fully functioning at 100% volume again. Plus, if for any reason you're less happy with the results, just email or call our US-based customer service team and they'll immediately help you with your order. With 0 questions asked, 0 hassle, and 100% love and appreciation from us that you put your trust into this powerful remedy. Now, if all this sounds good to you, then look below and select the 6-bottle package or one of the other packages. The sad reality is that most people wait until it's too late. That being said, we're coming to an end here, and you have to make your decision here. Sure, you could go on with your life and forget you arrived here, but let me ask you something. In a year from now, when you look at your life, what will be different? What terrible things will happen in 6 months or 3 months or even next week if you don't do anything to fix this? Sleepless nights, always being tired at work, home, with family, on guard everywhere you are, always having that feeling that something just isn't right with you. What about your kids or maybe grandkids? What will they say about you? My brother almost shot his wife dead because he couldn't remember her name, the same woman he'd spent 42 years of his life with. We never in our wildest imagination thought that something as bad can hide behind his tinnitus and hearing loss. Unfortunately, some people only act when it's already too late. And even if you ignore all this, how about all that stress, anxiety, lack of sleep, and unbearable hell your life has become? When you look at all those people, even those not in the prime of their lives, enjoying every moment at its fullest, you have to wonder, why you? Now, please forgive me if I'm being harsh. I'm just talking a hard truth here. Because not long ago, my brother was in your shoes, and I felt every inch of his pain as it was my own. And I'm afraid bad things don't just fade away if you don't do anything about it. Right now, you can do something about it, because for a short time, and I really don't know for how much longer, you can get RingHush and get your life back. I'll leave the decision in your hands. And if you ask me, it's as simple as 2 + 2, since you're protected by my personal 60-day money-back guarantee. So go ahead and select the recommended package, then hit the button below, and be the man your family needs you to be. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. And God bless you. Mark Whittle. Still here? Let me answer some of the most common questions we receive about RingHush. How does RingHush work again? Clinical studies have shown that chronic tinnitus and hearing loss do not start in your ears, but instead, they are the result of a toxin created by bacteria in the mouth, which is able to pass through the thick barrier that protects your brain and eat your synapses. Sadly, brain-related diseases like memory loss, dementia, and many other dangerous ones start with this. Your tinnitus and hearing loss are the red flag of something much worse that's yet to come. Here's a short, to-the-point explanation on how this formula works. Step 1. The powerful nutrient blend destroys the brain-eating toxin. Remember, the root cause of your tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory problems is due to a brain-eating toxin that damages your nerve cells and causes you that hellish noise, as well as damages your auditory system and mind. Inside the classified project files, we've seen that the only way to fix this is to add psyllium husk, bentonite clay, and glucomannan root. Step 2. The noise in your ears vanishes and your hearing goes back to full volume. Finally, once the brain-eating toxin is eliminated from your system, your synapses start to heal and regain their strength, as well as your neuronal networks rejuvenate. Step 3. Your mind and brain become sharper and rejuvenated. This is where good things start to happen. Oat bran and apple pectin act like steroids for your brain and memory. Studies have shown that as we age, our brain shrinks and it changes on a molecular level. But these 2 ingredients supercharge your brain, strengthen your nerve cells, and give your mind clarity and focus. Step 4. You shield yourself against tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory disease. Now, the purpose of this formula is not just to set you free from tinnitus, restore your hearing, and rejuvenate your brain, but also keep it like this on a long-term basis. Step 5. Your entire health and well-being start to improve. In just a few weeks, you'll be tinnitus-free. Your hearing will be sharp, your mind will be quiet, peaceful, and you'll be protected against deadly brain disorders. And because this blend is so powerful, every single cell of your body will start to transform and rejuvenate. This sounds great. How many bottles should I order? The severity of your tinnitus and hearing loss and the amount of toxic bacteria that's been clogging up your brain will differ from person to person. Even after you regain your silence, repair your auditory nerve cells, and restore your hearing, there is still the possibility of toxic bacteria buildup and potential mental disease later on in your life. That's why, after analyzing over 5,000 blood test samples from one of our bravest volunteers to make sure you are completely safe against hearing loss, tinnitus, and brain problems, we recommend at least 3 bottles of RingHush or the 6-bottle package if you want to be absolutely safe. Who is this program for? RingHush is for everyone who wants to stop tinnitus, restore their hearing, and shield themselves against brain and memory disease. Can you tell me about that risk-free guarantee again? Every bottle of RingHush comes with a risk-free 60-day money-back guarantee to put your mind at ease. You have 2 full months to experience this incredible formula. If you decide RingHush is not for you, you can return what you haven't used in full for an immediate, no-questions-asked refund. It should come as no surprise. If I thought this was not going to work, I would not be offering such a deal. But the 88,000 men and women who have tried it are now living proof that RingHush works for anyone, and I'm confident it will work for you too. How long will this still be available? We really don't know. You and I both know that Big Pharma is not just going to sit aside and let their profit margins turn to dust. That means burying this product immediately and permanently. That's why this truly may be your last day when you see RingHush online and have the chance to grab this formula. The choice is up to you, of course. Just remember tomorrow when you come back, this website might be already taken offline. Okay, how do I get RingHush? Select your package and hit the button below. Try RingHush for 60 days, and if for any reason you are unsatisfied, send me a message and I'll refund all your investment. The more results we see, the more I'm confident that RingHush will work for you. So go ahead, hit the button below and get your life back.
Cool, right? Check out our amazing deals on thousands of products. Click the link in the description.